It is really and truly my pleasure to introduce John Cruden, my friend, and congratulate him on receiving the ABA Lifetime Achievement Award for contributions in environmental, energy, and resources law and policy. John, I will turn it over to you.
Howard, thank you so much. Thank you for your leadership, and my absolute congratulations to all of the award winners. During my time period as chair, this is one of my favorite parts of our fall conference, was recognizing such deserving people in environmental justice and in government and elsewhere. I want to start, however, not yet talking about the award that was given to me, but I want to accept the award for Government Lawyer of the Year on behalf of my friend and colleague for almost a quarter century at Department of Justice, Karen Wardzinski. Karen, her family is watching this, and I know that Karen knew before her passing that she received this award. Karen was a former member of the ABA Council, and many of you know her, and so this is a special time for her. When I was ABA chair of this section, I created the Government Award because at that time, I was the Deputy Assistant Attorney General of Justice, and I wanted to recognize those people who were the backbone of the federal establishment, those people who were head and shoulders above other individuals that I saw. And when I think of Karen Wardzinski, she fits that mode. Karen had experience in the Environmental Protection Agency. Karen was in private practice, but she is most well known for her decades of experience since the 90s as part of the Environment and Natural Resources Division at Department of Justice, starting as a line lawyer and then through her own experience and knowledge, raising to the level of chief of one of their premier sections, the now called Law and Policy section. As you would imagine, over that period of time, there are any number of stories that I could tell you about Karen because we were close associates, and I will do just two. When Deepwater Horizon hit, still one of our great environmental tragedies of our lifetime, Karen was at the centerpiece of the response by the United States. She formed a working group of lawyers from other agencies who gave daily legal advice to the White House, daily legal advice to me because I was forming our trial team at that stage. And she was our outward speaking person to various parts of the 5 Gulf states, giving them current events, but also giving them the law that we ultimately use. I left Department of Justice, as Howard said at one stage, to become the president of Environmental Law Institute. When I came back, Karen was there for me on Deepwater Horizon. We immediately started the negotiations that led to the $22 billion recovery, still the largest of its type in the United States. And Karen was a right hand. She was an advisor. She was a counselor. She was somebody that I trusted immensely. But Karen had another passion. Karen was deeply concerned about wildlife in the world, particularly illegal wildlife trafficking. One of my positions coming back to Department of Justice was I co-chaired the task force that President Obama set up on illegal wildlife trafficking. We had a wonderful conference in Hanoi, largely sponsored by the United Kingdom. And Karen came with me. Actually, she wrote my speeches. That's why she was there. And we had a chance over a weekend where we had no other responsibilities to go to a UNESCO World Site called Halong Bay, which is about 100 miles south and east of Hanoi. And we got a Vietnamese junk ship and traveled to this extraordinary place of islands and caves. It's raw nature. And I just saw Karen loving that. We went kayaking, we saw little floating cities, but I could see and feel her love for nature. And she passed on that love. She passed on that passion in every part of her job. Karen, your light shone brightly. We will hold you in our heart forever. I am confident that you are with us right now, smiling, looking at your friends from the ABA, looking at your colleagues from the Department of Justice, and I can only say for you in your lifetime, well done. Howard, I cannot tell you how surprised I was when the ABA chose me for this prestigious award. I am humbled, and also because I know how many people in the audience right now are themselves deserving of this. I do want to thank the individuals who nominated me for that. I know there are a number, but I want to single out Norm DuPont, a longtime environmental leader in the United States, and my great friend, Professor Ziegplater, who is famous, still famous for TVA versus Hill, which he argued before the Supreme Court. And I know there were others, but I want to thank you for that. And also, I've always believed, particularly in environmental law, that we all need mentors. And I have a number of them in this section, some watching right now, I know. And I just want to single out and give a shout out beyond you, Howard, and Karen, that when you come up, but Mike Gerard, Ken Warren, Gene Smari, Sheila Hollis, Ted Garrett, Carol Dinkins, and my great friend Kenan Goldman. These are all people that helped me come into the ABA and have helped me ever since. I grew up in a very small town in Michigan. I'm the adopted son of a Ford Motor Company crane operator. Because I was blessed by being surrounded at that stage by nature. And as Howard has told you, my career then eventually evolved into the full-time practice of what we now think of as environmental law and policy. I have loved that. I have loved environmental law. It's this great gathering of economic issues, legal issues, policy issues. It's national, it's international. I still look forward to coming to work every single day. At one stage in my life, I was running as an elected office as president of the District of Columbia Bar, which now has over 100,000 members. And during the election process, I was asked on TV, what's your passion? And I said at that time, I am so fortunate that I have a job, which is also my passion, which is advancing the environment. And that is what I've been trying to do during my lifetime. I know that we're celebrating 50 years of Earth Day, 50 years of the Environmental Protection Agency, and all of us who have looked at what has happened since that time. We have a lot to be proud of, but there's so much more. There's so much more that we can or should do. And I want to draw from another experience. I cannot talk to you without recognizing my wife of over 50 years, who also grew up in the same small town that I did, and we were high school sweethearts. But my wife, Sharon, is a quilter. She takes different pieces of fabric and joins them together in a pattern. And out of that comes magnificent art forms that we display on our wall or she gives to other people that blends together all those different pieces of fabric that are very diverse, very colorful, into one cohesive whole. And looking out onto all of you who are watching today, looking out on the American Bar Association's wonderful environment, energy, natural and resources section, I think of you as the individual pieces of that quilt, which is to say the individual pieces of our future. The future of environmental law, I'm convinced, is built on bipartisanship, but it's also built on the backs of those of you who are in corporate practice, NGO practice, that those of you who are doing environmental justice work, those of you who are in government, state, federal, local. Each and every one of you are like that one piece of fabric that went into Sharon's quilt. And the quilt does not work without each and every one of you doing your part to advance the environment and all those things that you do. And I know that's why you're in this section, but also it is my challenge to you. I want to end my remarks with a part of a poem. A few years ago, I had the honor of speaking to the United Nations about the importance of environmental law. And I said at that time that the United States did not invent much environmental law. Other countries invented that. But one exception was in environmental law, that we not only invented it, we exported it. And we've come a long way in our history with all of our classic statutes, but we all know, every one of us know that there is more to do, and that's the challenge, and that's why I told you you're part of the quilt. A president that I admired greatly, John Kennedy, during his inaugural address, drew in, at that moment, one of the great poets and his favorite poet, Robert Frost. Frost read a poem, and I'm going to draw from another poem that he did called Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. This is how I ended my presentation to the United Nations, and it's how I will end my presentation to you as a charge for other things to do, because the closing lines, which many of you learned in elementary school, just remind you, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. And so we've done a lot. We have a lot more to go. We too have miles to go before I sleep. Thank you so much for this wonderful award. It's humbling to me. I can, from the bottom of my heart, I thank everybody involved. I'm so appreciative of this great recognition by a wonderful section. Thank you again.